2025. This is the evening where we showcase all of the band programs for the entire school, beginning with these guys, our beginners, and ending later on in the evening with our high schoolers. So these guys have been making super progress. I'm so proud of them. I hope as your parents, if you're listening at home, you're hearing a big difference between when these guys started and where they're at now, and hopefully that will do nothing but continue progressing. So our first number of the evening is a piece called Tyrannosaurus Rocks. This has been one of their favorites. I really enjoy the program note that the composer put in here, and I'm going to read just a little bit of that to you. It says, paleontologists have learned a great deal about dinosaurs in recent years. Scientists now know a great deal about the Tyrannosaurus rex, his posture, skin, a whole bunch of different things. Unfortunately, even our most dedicated paleontologists have been unable to determine for sure whether dinosaurs liked rock and roll. For the purposes of our concert tonight, we will assume that Tyrannosaurus rex did indeed like rock and roll as we perform what might possibly have been a dinosaur's favorite rock and roll song, Tyrannosaurus Rocks. We hope you enjoy it. And no jokes about the old guy who has to use his glasses when he reads the program. Our second selection for this group is going to feature one of our sections in the band. And it's going to be these guys with the long instruments in the back row. Trombone players, stand up. Okay, hold up your instruments, trombone. Now put them up like you're playing. Now stretch your slides out to sixth position. Yeah, so the only instrument in the band that's got a working mechanism that's a slide rather than pushing some type of keys or button. You guys can sit down, thank you. So we're going to feature them in a piece called First Slide, where they learn how to play a glissando, where the trombones, instead of just doing it to make noise, which they do that a lot, where they go, you probably heard that at home if you've got a trombone player. Here they're actually supposed to do this. So we hope you enjoyed First Slide. myself, I know that they can appreciate getting to do that without getting yelled at. Quit doing all those glissandos. You're not supposed to be doing that all the time. So they have a lot of fun with that number. Our last piece, Star Splitter Fanfare, has been by far the most challenging piece for this group. When I passed this one out, and it took us half the band period to get through the first 4 measures the first day we tried it, and they looked up at me and said, "There's no way we're ever going to be able to play this." And I said, "Yes, there is. You'll get there. It's just going to take some time." But it did take some time, but they've really progressed and done a nice job. This Star Splitter Fanfare, another little program note, is inspired by the phenomenon known as a supernova. Stellar explosions can be extremely bright and can actually cause a burst of radiation that outshines an entire galaxy for a few weeks or months before fading. So that was kind of the inspiration for this piece. Again, really difficult number that these guys have done a nice job with and worked really hard at. I really appreciate parents that you're encouraging these guys to be practicing. I can't stress enough that especially for all the way through our whole entire parade of bands here tonight, practice makes perfect, and I encourage everybody to practice. But especially at this level when we're just starting out, the more they practice at home, the better off they're going to be. So parents, if you can keep encouraging them, make sure that they're practicing. I always tell them that's your band homework, is to be doing some practicing at home. Please keep encouraging them. These guys have progressed so much and are doing such a nice job, and I just want that to keep continuing. So please continue to urge them to practice at home. Here is Star Splitter Fanfare. To switch out these guys for those guys. 6th grade, stay put except for drummers, come on down. 5th graders, let's file out, go ahead and sit behind them. And then we just got to reset a little bit here, and then we'll take off with the 6th grade after that. Since these guys have been sitting for just a little bit, we're going to play just a quick warm-up, so you guys can go ahead and keep talking for a second while we do this. This is our small but mighty 6th grade band. So I give these guys a huge amount of credit because unfortunately this band at the end of last year was a lot bigger and a bunch of their classmates decided they weren't going to continue. But these guys have forged ahead, and even though it's a small group, they've really been a really good group and been a lot of fun to work with, and have really made a lot of progress this year. Whereas the 5th graders finished with their most difficult piece, these guys are going to be starting with their most difficult piece. We're going to open with a piece called Band Rocks. Very challenging piece. It takes a theme and it just explores it in a whole bunch of different ways throughout the piece. Has a nice little rock pattern that kind of continues through a whole bunch of different levels. So this is a piece called Band Rocks. Again, just to give you a little background on some of these pieces and why they were written and what they were written about. Mount Tambora is an active volcano in Indonesia. Tambora's eruption in 1815 was the largest and most deadly ever recorded. In the aftermath, the volcanic cloud was so dense and widespread that the year 1816 became known as the year without a summer. So in this one, not only are you going to hear them playing, but we've also got some stomping and some clapping in this. Those sounds are supposed to represent the massive volcanic blast as the music approaches the rousing end. So we hope you enjoy Tambora. Picture an erupting volcano as we play this. Before we play our final number, and these thank yous kind of go along with both groups here. As most of you know, this typically isn't my job. I've been the high school band director for 23 years here now. Last year when our middle school director left, we were unable to find a replacement, so I've been kind of picking up all the stuff. However, I'm not doing all the stuff. I need to give some thank yous to some other people. Annie McMahon, I don't know if she's in here now. There she is, right in front. Has been helping out a super amount. When she found out that we didn't get another director hired, she came and said, what can I do to help? So she's been here giving lots of lessons. She gives lessons to a lot of these guys and then to some 7th and 8th graders too. That allows between the two of us, still all of our kids from grades 5 all the way through to seniors also get a weekly band lesson. So that's been a huge, huge help. There's no way that I could do that for all these kids by myself. So a big round of applause for them. And along with that, my wife, who's now warming up the 7th and 8th graders and helping with some of the other kids too, she's been helping out with some of the beginner lessons too. So about half of those 5th graders over there are getting lessons from Mrs. Langhold as well. So between the three of us, again, we've got all those lessons covered. So even though my wife's not here, let's give her a round of applause. So again, I'm the one that ends up directing these guys, so I kind of get all the glory because you see me doing that. But they're doing work behind the scenes that if I didn't have them helping me, this job wouldn't be getting done. So big, big thank you to those guys. I see Mark Swartz is sitting down here too. Mark comes in a lot. He does a lot of subbing at the school. He's been in a number of times when Andy has been gone. And he'll a lot of times just sit in and give me some feedback on what the groups are sounding like. Always willing to give a help. He comes and judges contests for us. So let's give Mark a round of applause. I mentioned solo ensemble contest. That was kind of my next thing on the list here. So coming up at the end of April, this is something that some of these guys experienced last year. None of the 5th graders, obviously. A few of the 6th graders did. But typically we do a 5-8, what we call solo day, where all of the kids are given a solo to work on. Hopefully you've been hearing some of that at home. and then they get judged on that, and then they receive a ribbon, and they get some feedback from the judge on what they can do to improve. Now that our concert's done, I'll be sending some more information out about that. But just know that that's coming up. It's the last Saturday in April, so make sure that you hear your kids doing some practicing and encouraging them to be working on their solos. Along with that, everybody needs to find a piano player. So please don't wait till the last minute. There are lots of them out there, and when I send an email out about that, I'll give a list of piano players that you can get in contact. But we kind of ask you guys to find a piano player. If you have trouble with that, just let us know and we'll help you out. But try to be thinking about that ahead of time and not wait until the last minute. So solo ensemble contest coming up at the end of April. So, all right, to finish things up. Oh, one more thank you. First of all, thank you, parents. Again, none of this would happen without your guys' support. I appreciate your pushing these guys. I appreciate you encouraging them to be in band and to continue with band. Please encourage them to keep continuing with band. I'd like to see these guys all play in band when they're in high school and all the way through. So a big thank you that way to you. And thanks to all the students. Again, I haven't done this age level for many, many, many years. It's been a blast, and I've really enjoyed it. So thanks, kids, for making my job fun to come to every day. We're going to finish with these guys' favorite piece. It's called The Distant Castle. And I'll let you use your imaginations on that one if you can picture a castle as you're playing. One of two things will happen. These guys are all going to go back up and put their instruments away. If you would like to stay for the remainder of the concert, I would encourage you to do that. Then your kids can come and sit with you after they put their stuff away. If you're not staying, I would ask you to exit at this time after the kids leave, and then you can meet up with them out in the commons, and then we'll have the rest of our high school and middle school parents join us at that time. So kids, you guys can leave first, and then fifth graders follow them out. Parents, if you're staying, they'll rejoin you. If you're leaving, go ahead and exit after they leave. Thank you for coming. Hope you enjoy it. thank you. For those of you that just joined us at this point, welcome. This is our parade bands concert for 2025. We began with our 5th grade band, followed by our 6th grade band. So we're moving up the ladder here. This is our 7th and 8th grade band for this year. These guys have just done a marvelous job this year. I've been so happy with the progress they made. We're going to open up with a piece titled Eagle Ridge. first piece and our last piece, they dug into really quick and learned very quickly. And then we got to this piece, and we started it, and it was like, oh my goodness, are we going to get through this one? It's just a different kind of a number that was harder to learn. It's not necessarily a harder piece, but it just took us a while to get a grasp on it. Wonders of the Universe was inspired by Albert Einstein's quote, "Imagination is more powerful than knowledge." He believed that thinking like a child would expand the view of the universe because children have the ability to see from a completely different perspective than adults. This attitude allowed him to understand the universe in profound ways. Obviously, it's Albert Einstein. He would conduct thought experiments where he would imagine himself riding on top of a beam of light through the universe. He understood that his imagination would help him see what is possible instead of what everyone else thought to be obvious or assumed to be true at the time. This composition creates musical imagery of Einstein soaring through the universe on the beam of light with no boundaries to the imagination. So imagine that as we're playing. Probably the one that these guys have enjoyed doing the most, what they call their fun number. This one is Rockin' on Top of the World from the movie Polar Express, excuse me. This one is done in a swing style feel, so it kind of has a jazzy feel to it. Neat light number, and again, probably their favorite. So hope you enjoy their last one, Rockin' on Top of the World. Gee, for once, I talked shorter than what it took them to get ready. to take a seat over here. Again, the high school band is next. For those of you that might be thinking we're going to scoot out of here quick, I really want these guys to watch the following group. We support each other just the way the 5th and 6th grade watched each other perform. I want the 7th and 8th grade to watch high schoolers perform. Again, their performance will be about the length that these guys were. So these guys are going to grab a seat. We've got a little bit of reshuffling to do, and the high school will perform. So you guys can stretch, relax for just a second, and the high schoolers will be out here shortly. patience as we reset there and got things set for these guys. Again, as we are parading through, we started with the 5th grade, then the 6th grade, then the 7th and 8th. This is our high school band. So again, can't say enough good things about how these guys have progressed. We really had a lot of fun with these numbers. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to them as much as we've enjoyed playing them. So our first piece, Into the Storm, was inspired by the storm of the century, the Great Blizzard of 1993. Now, I don't think our region got hit as bad, but the Northeast United States was just completely inundated with snow. And the composer of this piece was actually from the South, and he was actually visiting someone in New England at the time, and did not believe the amount of snow. You know, when I read that, I thought he should move to Iowa. We get that every year. But yeah, so it really inspired him to write this work, and I think it's a neat number because we get so many different things. We get this frenzy of notes going on, and then in the middle of the piece we have this kind of calming moment, which is supposed to be the eye of the storm, and then after the eye passes, then it builds into this big final climactic ending. So we hope you enjoy Into the Storm. popular jargon, the phrase cut to the chase means to get to the really interesting or important point and leave out all that is unnecessary. It originated from early cinematic lore when silent films were full of romantic storylines that inevitably led to much more exciting and memorable chase sequences. In this work, the melodic fragments are tossed around the band to give the impression that everyone is being chased or chasing something. So we hope you enjoy Cut to the Chase. Indulge me for just a second, if you would. I always have to give a few thank yous and then a few other things. They're all sitting there thinking, yeah, this is where Mr. Langholm talks forever. I'll try to keep it brief. So, first of all, some thank yous. I said this earlier when the 5th and 6th graders were in there finishing, but we've got a whole new crowd. So those of you that have been here from the beginning, sorry you get to hear this twice, but we've got a whole lot of other people in here too. So for the 7th and 8th graders, again, most of you know, typically I work with just this band and that's it. And we've got another director that does all of the younger ones. Well, last year that changed when we weren't able to fill that position. So I've been filling in and directing all the bands. However, there's no way I'd be able to do that by myself. I've been getting a ton of help, and I want to acknowledge those people. First of all, Annie McMahon down here has been giving a ton of lessons. When she found out we didn't get somebody hired, she said, what can I do to help? So we definitely put her to work. She's been giving lessons with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And Mrs. Langholm, I don't know where she went.
I'm
There she is. She's sitting up there. So she's been given a lot of 5th grade lessons along with. There's no way that I'd be able to do that all by myself. This way we can keep getting all of our band kids, 5 through 12, are all still getting weekly lessons, which is awesome. That's what keeps our program alive. So big thank you to those two. Again, I get all the credit because I'm down here directing, but as everybody knows, a lot of times it's what's happening behind the scenes that makes things work the way that they do. So big thank you to those two. I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And since he's sitting here too, Mr. Schwartz is, even though he's been retired for a long time, retired is used, you know, in quotes, because he's up there all the time. He subs for a lot of things, but he also comes in and helps with music, and he helps us with a ton of stuff in the music department. So thank you to Mr. Schwartz as well. Thank you, parents. There's no way that I'd be able to do any of this without your support. And while I'm on that, here's where I give my speech every year. And I'm going to give it again. I'm sorry if you've heard this a million times, but I'm going to say it again. A huge part of our program is the kids continuing in music. It's such a valuable thing. Obviously I think that because that's what I do for a living, but I hope you think that as well. Please encourage your kids to stay with it. There are so many other programs, and again, good programs that we have in our school, but I think a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves, and the kids are thinking, how much college and how much extra stuff can I get in before I leave high school? And I keep telling them, experience high school while you're in high school. So, and the music department is a huge part of that. So please encourage your kids to continue with. I know these guys and those guys, if they haven't already done so, are going to be signing up for classes for next year. So please encourage them. And you guys, please continue with music. I would like to see every band member that played tonight from 5th grade on through play until they graduate as seniors. I mean, that would be my ultimate wish. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I would really like to see that. So keep encouraging your kids to continue with music. I guarantee it's a worthwhile thing. On top of that, next year's a Florida trip here, hint, 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 so another good reason to stick it out. We have a lot of fun with that. But that aside, as you're hearing tonight, we do such wonderful things. The choral program does wonderful things as well, so I can't encourage you enough to keep encouraging your kids to stick with music. So it's just a valuable lifelong tool. All right, and we're going to finish with something fun. This is highlights from Guardians of the Galaxy. enjoyed our program. We hope you enjoyed seeing how the bands progress through their ages. So thank you.